Hello, Internet, and welcome to Weekly Shonen Jumps.
I'm Hiro.
And this is Fonzie, and we're reviewing March 4th of 2013 Shonen Jump.
Whoopee!
What, you're not even excited for it? Dude, we have several mangas in this particular issue. Seriously, more than the usual. You don't sound excited at all. Well, then I guess I have to...
But most of the mangas, no.
Well, then again, you're not a fun person. Alright, well, instead of bantering on about how much of a killjoy Andrew is, we're going to get straight into Rurouni Kenshin's Chapter 8. Now, before this, I have to apologize for the second episode that we did for Rurouni Kenshin. I was not aware that there was a reboot of the series and started quoting off the characters from the original series for Samurai X, which was the second part of the Rurouni Kenshin series. So, unfortunately, when I got that wrong, I didn't seem to notice that, well, hey, it's a reboot. So, instead, I apologize for not mentioning this. So, we will get on to Chapter 8, which is still on with Kanryu Takeda's plan to taking out Rurouni Kenshin and Miss Kaoru, who are still sitting on the land that he really wants to use for a weapons facility. However, he is in fact getting into gotta say, the most symbolically trashy battle with Yahiko in a form where he literally bludgeons the poor kid with a sack of money, sprouting words of that money is power. This isn't even exciting. He's just merely dodging him and hitting him with a bag of money. This isn't even...
It's just sad.
But of course, Yahiko goes in with a kendo sword and still tends to lose a lot, but has decided to go on to the path of the warrior and live an honest and noble life instead of working for Kanryu.
Bow down before money!
And breaks Kanryu's fingers, including knocking the bag of money out of his hand and slamming his kendo sword right in Kanryu's face.
Ha ha!
And ending their little battle. But then we get back to Sanosuke and Inu's battle, which Sanosuke seems to unfortunately be losing, due to the fact that Inu's defensive style attacks can't have his gauntlets or his body broken.
Now, I do have one question. Okay, if this is supposed to take place in the Edo era?
Meiji era.
The Meiji era. Oh, could we get a date for that? Around the...
It's pretty much around the same time where American culture started in Japan. So probably around the late 1800s.
Oh yeah, because I'm kind of confused. Is that he's wearing the guy that he's fighting is wearing camouflage, and I don't think camouflage was around that time.
You're really gonna make that kind of reference in Japan. It's a style thing. Look, well, because he was in the series beforehand, the original series Rurouni Kenshin, and he was using gauntlets. He was a part of the original Oniwaban group, but in this series, he's just simply a hired mercenary. The whole camouflage thing was to show a tough guy motif. It was just really that big brawler type of style. But even in that, he still used his fists. But in this case, he uses some sort of liquid-like metal to harden around his gauntlets, so that even his defensive power cannot be hit by Sanosuke's Futa no Kiwami. However, Sanosuke actually uses a new move called the consecutive strike Futa no Kiwami, and eventually breaks the armor around the gauntlets in the form of water. Not sure, but it does in fact look cool. But and in the off chance, it actually breaks his arm bones.
Ouch.
And of course, Sanosuke is ready for more. However, Inu has one more trick up his sleeve, using the entire, liquid metal substance, and throws it upon himself, calling it then the Zenshin Kita.
Full body armor. So I guess he's basically become Colossus from X-Men.
Yes. However, it doesn't work that way. You can't just throw liquid metal on you and just hope that you are the defensive Hulk you are. You're essentially putting yourself in concrete.
Yeah, and he basically cannot move.
Yep. And, of course, is being consistently told that he is stupid, stupid, and stupid.
No, you're stupid!
With the end of that battle, with simply one punch to the forehead, Sanosuke goes back to Yahiko to get his share of the pay. But Kanryu wakes up again.
Holy crap, what's up with your face?
Well, he did just take a kendo sword to the face, so... It's not like the SpongeBob episode. Blunt force does not make you pretty.
Oh, no, wait. I got a really good joke here.
Okay.
I'm always beating up a kid with a bag of money, and then I took a kendo sword to the face.
Every fan of the Elder Scrolls hates you now.
Yes, and I want them to hate me.
Well,
because I hate them.
Not as much hate as Sanosuke is gonna get after he tries to take all the money that Kanryu gotten, and eventually leaves with the symbol of evil on his back, as he usually does.
Oh, epic-like.
But then we get back to the battle with Saito and the former Oniwaban group, Kuroko, who continues to use her, and I'm saying her, it was established later on in previous chapters, using her string-like defensive attacks, and eventually trapping Saito in a empty stitch technique, which has completely covered his body in iron strings. If he moves once, he will simply just rip off all the parts of his body. Pretty devastating for this kind of attack. However, she keeps telling him that he used to be such a powerful figure back before the Meiji era started, as he was the Wolf of Mibu, basically Kenshin's ultimate rival. However, he makes note that he is no longer the Wolf of Mibu and is simply working for the police. But that does not diminish the fact that the Wolf of Mibu's skills are still the Wolf of Mibu's skills, even if he's a police officer. And eventually uses the powerful Gatotsu move, which is essentially a giant force of the straight sword thrown forward and eventually breaks through most defenses. It's essentially a technique that uses speed of the thrust to break through any defense.
And what about the strain? It just comes off.
Well, he is that good. He is in fact still the Wolf of Mibu. But of course, we have one last fight to complete, and that would be with Kenshin's rival from the Meiji era. Boy, is this going to be an interesting battle. Standoff.
And now we get to Naruto number 622. It reached where it's basically just a complete flashback of what Madara and the first Hokage were in the past, and they were actually friends. And
the friendship of boys starts with skipping rocks.
Brotherly love. And the weird thing about Madara is that he's kind of a schizo. Like, he just yells at everything.
Hey, your hair is nice.
Water, I look hideous. It's just weird, and our great first Hokage was a wimp.
Yep, pretty much as Madara is a schizo, Hiroshima gets into a depressive state every time he's yelled at.
Our great first Hokage, everybody.
And our evil villain, thrashing around like a small child.
And then, of course, after they talk, they find a dead ninja in the water. How convenient.
Oh, great. That sounds great. That's the end to an awesome conversation. Oh, hey, look, a dead body. This is starting to sound like Stand By Me.
Oh, let's poke it with a stick.
Well, we can't poke it with a stick because, unfortunately, that ninja seems to be an ally of Hiroshima's.
And then we find out, dum dum dum, Hiroshima's a ninja. And then, of course, when he gets there, they're burying all their allies, and we get a big panel of seeing him, his brother, and his dad in the same panel.
And his younger brother, who was never really mentioned at first.
Because he's going to die.
You know, great spoiler warning before we even tell him that. Well, before that unfortunate event, it seems that this is. Most people would argue that this is a very pointless chapter just to tell Sasuke, why he shouldn't destroy Konoha, or should he. But this is really just to explain of how the adults don't even remember why they're mad or why they hold grudges against the other ninja clan. And Hiroshima keeps saying that why do the children have to suffer? Why do the children have to die for this so-called grudge?
And for that child abuse.
Yep, pretty much the adults suck in this time period because all they do is just pretty much tell you that the love of a parent is telling you how to fight. Yeah, sure, love.
Naruto, the only manga where child abuse is A-okay.
Yep, well, I'm guessing that's the reason why the village changed so much in the future, because, of course, this kind of thing wouldn't really happen too often. However, we do get a chance to see that Hiroshima is still not going to change his beliefs just due to a backhand. But even so, his brothers seem to agree with him a lot on this one.
And I guess we transition to them in a cave. I don't really know where they are, and they're just and they're just talking how how it's unfair that the kids have to fight that the kids have to fight for the adults' problems. But then we transition again to where everyone's dead.
And unfortunately, poor Itama, Hiroshima's youngest brother, is now surrounded by 5 very foreboding Uchiha ninjas armed to the teeth.
No kill quite like overkill.
Yeah, but when your overkill is on probably a not even 10-year-old boy, yeah, that doesn't seem quite logical to me.
And guess what? The brother dies. Aww.
Yeah, thanks for that spoiler warning early.
And so here Tom's all sad and mopey, and then comes our favorite schizo.
Yeah, just to cheer him up by bashing him.
By yelling at him more. What a great friend.
Well, Hiroshima seems to agree with that.
And Madara gets him to skipping more rocks.
Occasionally talking about how their goals are pretty much the same. They don't want to fight for... They both know that they're ninja, but they don't know the surnames of the ninja clan.
And that just begs... but it also begs the question, it's like, what happened? What happened to them, that made Madara change? And that's sort of the question that we'll probably have to find out next week. Of how the whole thing changed. Tune in next week to find out.
Same bat time, same bat channel. By the way, move aside. It's One Piece time. This is my bread and butter.
My!
And boy, do we have a chapter for you this time. After the newspaper articles about Doflamingo quitting the 7 warlords and the alliances by other pirates, we seem to get a clip of many things going awry due to these situations, wars, and even former of the Super 11 supernovas, Julie Bonney, noticing this, and of course we get to see also Captain Eustace Kidd getting interested in the pirate alliance. And it seems that he, for his reasons for creating his own alliance with Hawkins and Scratchman Appo, also seems to have the same goal as Trafalgar and Luffy by taking on another of the emperors. I can't wait to see which one they're after.
Now, as for the art goes, like I said before, the art is very strange to me because in backgrounds it's kind of hard for me to see where we're actually at because everything's all squished in and I just can't read it very well.
Well, that's his style. He always usually tries to put so much motion and flow into his manga panels that he would really just want people to understand the tone of it. So if it's congested, you see that it's much more of a stressful part in the series. Or in the
though it's just me, but it's kind of distracting for me. But that's just me.
Speaking of distraction, it seems that we're now going back to the conversation between Doflamingo and Trafalgar Law. And this is all happening on the Straw Hat ship. But of course, nothing goes without being noticed by the Straw Hats, especially when the Den Mushi is a direct link to Doflamingo, one of the most fearsome pirates, and of course, Luffy goes off saying, "Hey, Mingo!" and just starts constantly bashing him.
He called him Mingo. He didn't say his name right. That should be somehow insulting.
Yeah, this is essentially the first conversation between Doflamingo and Luffy, which goes as pretty much as I predicted. Doflamingo is serious, Luffy is not.
Hold this guy needs his terror swift and he's ready to tackle Nanya. I'm insulting your wardrobe.
But of course, Luffy takes it very, very loosely and says that if he's a king, could you supply me with an endless amount of good meat? Seriously, he asked this of the guy he just foiled his plans.
Okay, this is how you defeat Luffy. His kryptonite is to just say meat. That's his kryptonite. Just say meat, and he'll go gaga, and you can just kill him right there.
And of course, Doflamingo is loving the ever-loving amount of it, being that he's both communicating with Trafalgar Law and Luffy, and waiting to see if he'll ever get Caesar Clown back.
Oh my gosh, your eyes, Luffy! They turned into meat!
Now I want to say one thing about this, aside from the storyline. I don't know why Ichiro Oda did this, but while they're sailing through the sea in the top panel...
The waves are shaped like bunnies.
Yeah, like bunny heads. Like, weird.
I don't even...
That's the reference, ladies and gentlemen. Back to the story! And of course, they're going to be separating into groups of who will be taking Caesar Clown back to Greenbit, or who will be trying to take on the factory that produces the Smile Fruit. And of course, they start talking about how Dressrosa works. It's a bit more of like a Spanish continent, if you will. But even after that, they seem to want to go on the adventure, but first want to make for lunch, causing more headaches for Trafalgar.
And I would like to point back to this one panel where Robin is thinking of an ugly lady in a dress. All I can say is that in reference to Nostalgia Critic,
well, that's Robin for you. That's her comedy style, I guess. She's always a serious character, never giving into the real comedy of the original characters. What she does in return is that she has the weirdest thought patterns.
And probably the sickest.
Well, aside from being with the sickest pattern, she gets involved with the whole lunch as Trafalgar and Kaimon discuss of what their intentions are at Dressrosa. Kaimon is actually going back to a place called Joe, but unfortunately was stopped at Dressrosa.
Isn't it pronounced Zhao or Zou or?
It is spelled Z-O-U, so I'm not exactly sure. So forgive me if the pronunciation is wrong.
Oh, see, if I were to go to Japanese pronunciation, it's probably Zou or something.
Well, we'll go with that, but essentially they got stopped at Dressrosa and unfortunately got separated. One of which they are actually looking for is Kandro, who they're looking for at Dressrosa. And of course, in the typical fashion, tells of the story of how they got to Dressrosa and how Kandro got kidnapped, how got captured, and of course the pirates act in the way that they always do. Frankie cries, Chopper cries, Luffy says, "Let's go rescue them."
Of course.
But we have a nice little transition back to the new Marineford.
Near the Red Line.
Yes, but this time we get a nice little bit of exposition from the former Commodore, brand new, who's explaining the current situation with the warlords since Doflamingo quit, explaining that each warlord had a specific purpose, and that was to usually bring fear to other pirates. Hawkeye being the strongest swordsman, Doflamingo being a very mysterious individual, and being a king at that, Bartholomew being a living weapon, Boa Hancock being the empress of all pirates.
And she hasn't changed one bit in the 2 years.
Yeah, hotness. That's the exception to time.
Oh, because you can't change hot.
The Surgeon of Death, Trafalgar Law, who was responsible for literally giving over 100 pirate hearts over to the Navy headquarters in order to become a Seven Warlord, and Buggy the Clown.
I heard he wanted to be a doctor.
Why is that? That's a thing. That's a thing. That's a thing.
I don't even. Why Buggy? What does Buggy want, that weird spaceman?
Oh, what is he? What? I don't even...
He thinks clowns are from space. Clowns are from space. Oh, damn it, he knows. Damn it, I know.
Anyways, they also talk about a seventh member, but we aren't given any indication of who that person is. So he or she is literally left in the dark. But we seem to understand that aside from them, Doflamingo is the most important. Unfortunately, it seems like Sakazuki, who is also there, still hate him, is there to admit that he actually has a plan implemented to understand of what actually is going on with Doflamingo, and has sent a man named Fujitora to Dressrosa to see of what is actually going on there. Now we once again transition back to Dressrosa, but to Dressrosa's Kingdom Palace, where Doflamingo is. And of course, we go back to his very strange-looking crew, where Baby Five seems to be calling out to somebody who was ordered to go to the palace. A guy named Treble. Aside from that, Treble also has a weird quirk himself, just like it seems with everybody on Dressrosa. And it seems that his is getting way, way too up in people's faces. And he kind of looks like a blob of some sort.
I'm getting too close to people's faces, just like in Son of the Mask.
And of course, he continues to banter on about Baby Five having another fiancé destroyed. And I meant destroyed. So, of course, he laughs on about it and is told that he has to go and meet with Doflamingo. And, of course, Baby Five, once again, goes under the impression that he needs her. And, of course, being funny as hell.
Yeah, needs her.
That's the magic word for Baby Five. I need you to do something. I need you. Or you're the only one is needed. Aside from that, Doflamingo is in a particular chamber where it seems that he and three others sit at very interesting chairs, one representing club, heart, diamond, and spade. And he seems to be talking with a guy named Diamat, who seems to be the head of a arena or a coliseum.
And guess what seat he's in?
He's actually in the diamond seat. Oh yes, big shocker. And it seems that Treble sits in the club seat, while another mysterious figure sits in the spade seat, where I'm guessing that the heart seat is left to Doflamingo.
Okay. If he's called, what's his name again?
Diamat?
Diamat. Spade-at, heart-at, and club-at.
I just explained who's sitting in the chairs. Anyways, it seems that Treble has a item that Doflamingo wishes to possess now. And it seems that he wants to give this over to Diamat, who he wants to actually use in order to draw Straw Hat Luffy out. What is this?
What's in the box?
The flame fruit, which is the exact same fruit that Ace used in his lifetime. Of how Doflamingo has this, I'm not sure. But the utter appearance of it, yeah, this is going to put very, very big straw on Luffy's back.
Okay, and the fruit itself, okay, just imagine a raspberry, but each little berry thing is fire.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what it is.
I'm not sure why you would eat that, or want to eat that. But anyways, at the last part of the chapter, they finally get to Dressrosa, and their adventure against Doflamingo will begin soon.
And now we get to World Trigger, which I did not really, which I'll be honest, I didn't really get too much into it because, to be honest, this manga is just not very appealing to me.
Well, this is the 4th chapter.
I know,
Third.
and it's not really appealing to me so far.
Well, everybody starts off slow, you know. Patience is a virtue.
So basically, the monsters are still attacking. They're still talking. You know, and
You were questioning why you should go ahead and do that because it seems
you're
pointless.
going to die. I don't care. You're going to die. I don't care.
But of course, Osamu, and we're calling him Osamu by his first name now still wants to protect people as he is a part of Border. Now, we're gonna have to at least elaborate a little bit on this. As the monster attacks, as the two monsters attacks, he reveals the fact that he is a part of Border, and he also seems to be doing a quite job taking on the two neighbors. However, it does seem something is odd. When the battle gets a little bit more fiercer, and when the neighbors are trying to attack him, he ends up getting both his trigger and his arm cut off. Now, ultimately, I think that we have a problem. The main hero is already very much hurt.
I could make a Monty Python reference, but that would be kind of stupid.
It's just a flesh wound. I did it for you.
It's just a flesh wound. What? Your arm's cut off? No, it isn't.
Yeah, and it seems that what this thing is called a try-on body that seems to be almost like a pseudo body, if you will, an avatar, which looks the same as your original appearance, but has a border outfit and your trigger released. And we see that on full throttle when he gets stabbed through the chest, and a black mist seems to appear out of him. And his body starts to crack and decay.
Now, I just don't understand about manga these days is that, like, why they go so over the top with the violence. Like sure, it can be exciting, but if you're just going over the top violent because you want to go over the top violent, it's just not appealing. It's just
this is the guy who reads Invincible. Look it up.
Oh yes, I'll even admit the violence is just really over the top in that comic. It's like, why? It's also like Bleach. They lose so much blood, and yet they still come out kicking.
Well, what I have to at least agree with you on that is that there are only certain mangas you can actually get away with that stuff with. Unless you want to go cliche routes. World Trigger can get away with it because they have a reason for the violence. They have a reason for telling you, you can get away with this because it's an avatar-like body. As for Bleach, that just seems to be out of its place, but then again, it's become its own thing. However, in getting back to the fight...
So basically Osamu is back into his normal form.
Yeah, so that his Tryon body is gone.
And now he's in his real body, which means he can actually die. He can actually die for real this time. But then Yuma comes in to save the day!
And uses a shield via his ring. But interestingly enough, he's about to borrow...
I think I get it. He's a Green Lantern!
Oh, yes, he's Green Lantern. Yeah, Green Lantern. What? No.
And now we get to Nisekoi, which in this chapter is actually a filler chapter, but it's actually a fun chapter. Where, it's basically the end of the year. The end of the year, and I guess it's Japan's a New Year festival, and of course they have to come out in Shrine Maidens.
Yeah, so this is a lot of fan service for people who get their jollies off of Shrine Maiden outfits. Yeah, there you go.
I guess in cultural references, if this were in America, it would be like nun outfits, which I don't know who would go gaga over a nun outfit.
I don't know.
Yeah, because nuns are so hot.
See a holy nun?
And so
see a hot nun? Holy shit.
And so the perfect friend, is going gaga over all the girls wearing the maid outfits. And even and there's even a panel where Chitoge and I forget the other girl's name that Ichijo has a crush on. He originally had a crush on. I think it's Aura Dana, I
Or
guess.
Dina?
Well, I'm trying to use a Japanese pronunciation, like or Dana, which
Or Denia?
you're using the American pronunciation.
Well, you can't seem to pronounce the foreign one. Now can you?
I don't even remember the spelling, but but yeah, but yeah. Maybe Nichijou is going gaga over the maid outfits, and so I guess they're waiting for Ichijou's dad's friend to come and tell me to come and tell them what they need to do.
Shryman's rock, right? Yeah.
and and basically, their friend is an only, and I gotta say, she's a pretty awesome old lady. She's pretty awesome.
Most of the women here seem to be a lot more kick-ass than the men.
and so I guess they're basically just to do shrine maiden stuff, basically all Japanese stuff. But they but the lady also discovers that there's something wrong with Ichijo, and bird shit falls on him.
Oh yeah, I guess that's something wrong.
And falls off the stairs by a banana.
Who leaves a banana on the Japanese
shrine
stairway? Why?
And apparently, and I quote, perhaps your friend's been a bit too lucky this year. Oh gee, I wonder why. He's incurred with the vengeful spirit of unloved men. Yeah, because he has a harem of women, so he's been very lucky this year. Which I don't know how it's, well, okay, I guess in Japanese. Are
you kidding me? We here in America, we idolize our men whores, the ones who have harems. Like Hugh Hefner. We love that guy. But here, I guess you want the guys who have the harems to suffer. Why?
And so the priestess, which is the old lady, and the girls are trying to figure out how to cure him from his curse. And there are a couple of options. Either bang him on the head on some sort of like shrine bell.
Aww.
Bing. Aww. And or put a no, knock him knock him out with the bell and put a talisman on in order to drive him away. But there's a catch to it where they have to put the talisman is on his ass. And that look is just
priceless.
It's just priceless. They're like, oh,
staring off into space. Now are they?
And so
I love anal.
And so the girlfriend demands him to take his clothes off in a very creepy way, of which is the kind of face like she doesn't want to do it, but she's interested. And so one of the talismans falls into a puddle, just out of nowhere. So that plan failed. And now it's one of the other girls, and she's like, I'll do it! Which I'll probably have to mention for those who are not totally caught up. There's a sort of a sick girl that who apparently was part of Ichijo's past, because of the Love Hina plot, and she's absolutely in love with him, even wants to marry him.
I love polygamy.
Oh yes, I love polygamy. It's and they come up with another plan. In order to get the talisman on his butt, is for one of them to hug him, which I guess was too much for her. Because she had a crush on him too, and he's getting all confused. He's going, "What's going on? I don't know. What is this?"
I would love the idea if a woman told me to take my clothes off or hug me.
I don't get Japan, but yeah, they also come up with another option where and I quote, "My final trump card. If he drinks this holy water, it'll purge the spirit for sure. It works very quickly, but it has to be done mouth to mouth."
I love CPR.
And this is where it gets silly.
They're all running around after him with their cheeks blowed with the holy water.
They look like chipmunks full of nuts. It's so silly.
I'm sorry, was that English? Was that English, or were you just completely spazzing out?
I don't know, it's just so funny. Let me just look at that.
They look like demons.
They look like demon squirrels with nuts in their mouths.
And while they are chasing him, he seems to unfortunately have actually been running towards the bell and trips.
Trips and actually hits the bell, and thus the curse is lifted. Yay! They didn't have to do a thing. And that's the end. And the chapter ends with the priestess going, "Boy, oh boy, the vengeful spirit has purged, but this kid's girl troubles seem far from over." Oh, you think?
Why would it be a problem when you have more than 4 girls looking at you?
Oh my God, this love Hina thing.
Alright, aside from that, and yes, this will still be a pretty long episode, we now actually get to Toriko, which we were getting back from a previous encounter with both Coco and Grinpatch. And of course we have to open up a Grinpatch's absolutely screwed up facial expression.
It's just creepy.
Well, that's what you get when you
I think that's what cancer looks like.
Yep. When you have cancer, you have Grinpatch. Grinpatch is cancer. And of course, he decides to use one of his over-the-top moves used with his straw, Breath Missile, which causes a huge crater in the stadium.
Okay, is it just me, or are nade attacks getting a little outdated right now?
At this point, it seems to be still going strong. I'm not the one to judge on that one.
Well, yeah, I am, so... And the penguin can fly! No! No!
Who are you to judge what can and can't fly in this world? Last time I checked, you're not God. Last time I checked, God was actually an ingredient in this world. Yep, that's...
Just add God!
But aside from that, yeah, the penguin actually flew in order to get away from the breath missile, while Coco is still wondering how in the world he can't kill this guy, even though he's inhaling several amounts of poison.
I don't know why, but the way he looks now, he looks so effeminate. You know, I just keep thinking he has woman boobs.
What, this?
Yeah.
Oh, well, he's covered in poison armor. His skin tone changes because he covers himself in poison.
Well, it's also his facial. You know, in the eyes, he looks so feminine.
Well, technically, he
looks like a woman Russian muscle builder.
Be aware of the fact that all of the 4 kings in this series, including Toriko, Sunny, and Zebra, all have outstanding features when it comes to certain senses.
Of course, because it's Shonen.
Toriko's is smell, Sunny's is touch, Zebra's is hearing, hearing, and Coco's is sight. So his eyes are very much more pronounced than others, so they look much more desirable looking eyes. And of course, Coco comments that actually the reason why that this is all happening is that most wars have been actually fought over chefs. Due to this being an entire world around gourmet food, chefs are the most important things. Considering everything, the 4 kings are not actually as important as Kametsu is. Essentially, he explains that most wars have ended in disaster due to this, but then again, that's how things work. The chefs must in fact be the ones to survive.
And I just call an our flaw. Coco just looks like Toriko right now.
Well, they do unfortunately shift that, I will say that. But of course, Coco tells Komatsu to, of course, keep giving on the hope, due to the fact that we will still protect you, and we will do as much as we can to make sure that the chefs are used in forms of good, not evil. Of course, this is interrupted by Grinpatch being as creepy as ever. Seriously, how much can he ingest? And of course, Coco decides to use his familiar as a form of death.
It's the girl from the rain. Ah!
Well, I'd be scared too if the guy, threw poison around like he breathed it in.
But no, but oh wait, did he just transform?
In the series, some people have familiars. In term of Four Kings, they all have familiars. Sani's, looks like that of the girl from the ring and a kind of leopard pattern around the face. But essentially, away from that, he actually throws himself and Grimpatch into the hole that Grimpatch had made so that they could continue the fight elsewhere, but it's only because that Coco is at its breaking point and can only use a certain poison that could even endanger his own life to defeat Grimpatch. But we have probably the most annoying fight to continue with.
With his long eyelashes, it's so pretty.
Well, not for the fact that his eyelashes are annoyingly long, for the fact that he's actually fighting probably the grossest thing and refuses to look at it until he actually has to. And especially the fact
of... It's disgusting!
It's a giant fly, but it's more specifically, it's a giant vile dung fly.
Dung is the word.
There are not enough words to express of how Sani feels in this, so you have to use 2 panels in order to do it, with one word only being ushered. Gross!
Okay, just imagine how Misty reacts to bug Pokemon. That's pretty much what he is.
Yeah, and of course, it wouldn't be complete without the Tommy Rod mouth scene, where he literally throws up another giant parasite creature that he creates. That just can't
be healthy.
Who is now a capture level of 105. And of course, in his own way, telling him that we're going to have some fun. And of course, Sani is nowhere near interested in this and is ready to fight off against the terrible looking thing.
And now let's get to the real cancer, Bleach.
Well, I'd say it's memory cancer because you never remember what's going on. Except for me. But you know.
Because you're a whore.
No, continuity and everything. We have to keep these things in line. As for this is returning after Oetsu actually sent Ichigo back to the real world.
And I guess he passed his test and he's not a Soul Reaper anymore or something?
Well, no, he's still a Soul Reaper. He just didn't pass the test. And of course, that being the whole fact of being that he didn't get back his Zanpakuto or recreate it or do anything with it is obviously a giant pride hitter to him, and he doesn't really want to face his father, Ishin. Sorry. So then he heads over to his boss's place just to get his head clear.
And she's pretty hot.
Yeah, but technically she always tries to tell Ichigo just to, be a man and everything.
And she headbutts him.
Yep, she's technically...
I like her already!
If Ichigo had an older sister, this would definitely be that person. And of course, she continues to wail on him, tell him, stop being depressed. You have to start living. You can't just simply live in the past.
Thank you!
However, the only thing is that in order for him to move on, he actually has to hear about his past, which is ironic enough.
From his dad.
When Ishin decides to show up again in full Shinigami uniform.
Exposition!
And of course, I have to say this with as much grace as I can. He forgets his Shinigami badge and starts talking to his father about why he failed the test and why when the world, Squad Zero didn't accept him. And it seems that Ishin knows the reason why. And I'll say this. This has actually got to be the turning point for Bleach, only because of that one particular panel of Ichigo looking absolutely scared and angry at the same time.
And desperate.
Yes, because this is actually the turning point in the entire series. This is telling us what Ichigo really is. And to be honest, I wasn't ready to hear that the fact that he actually isn't human at all. He seems to be both half Shinigami and have Quincy, due to his father being a former captain, Soul Reaper, and his mother being a Quincy.
Now, okay. Now, I'm gonna go on a little bit of a tangent. Is that why did it take so long, for Ichigo to have his character turning point? Where, like in Naruto, a major character turning point was after the Pain saga, when he defeated Pain and pretty much accomplished one of his dreams to have the village like him. So why did Bleach take so long to get to that? Why? Because it focused too much on the other characters.
Well, that's the trade-off what you get in terms of characters. When you want to have a lot of them fleshed out, very memorable, you have to focus on them. And unfortunately, in this case, Ichigo is the very epitome of not fleshed out. He's very bland, and it was only to this point where we even get to learn about his roots. We did know for a fact that most of the reason why he protects spirits is because of how his mother died, and of course his never revenge against Grand Fisher, but whatever.
So his mom is a Quincy.
Yes. I was probably expecting this due to the fact that in a previous chapter, when he was fighting off against the so-called jailer of the Quincy's back in Hekono Mundo, he used a form of blut, which is either an offensive or defensive technique using Reshe to pump up your body. This was unknown to Ichigo, but the jailer seemed to know this as the technique that Quincy uses. So I guess this makes some sort of sense, but is probably going to be in a long, very, very flashbacks, like how the pendulum turned back in the Hollow arc. However, it ends on that note, and we have more stupid to review. And when I mean stupid, I mean funny stupid. This is One Punch Man.
Number 7, A Mysterious Attack.
And we go back to Genos, who is standing at the door annoyingly calling for his master.
Master, please come out. My dark blanket eyes are looking sad. Just look at them.
I need help. And of course Saitama really doesn't feel like he should.
And he must teach him the ways of being a hero.
Well, actually, Genos wants to be the hero, but unfortunately Genos goes into a long use of oh my god, why does he have to explain his story in such a manner? Oh my god, stop talking!
Even Saitama is like, shut up!
Use 20 words or less!
And then we transition to a mysterious, which I guess lab where two guys, which I'm going to call Thing 1 and Thing 2,
because they look the same. And see, they seem to be at the center of all these so-called monster attacks, being that they reference the girl known as Mosquito Girl,
and I guess they I guess they also work for Rita.
Yeah.
Make my monsters growl.
Even with that, their storyline is very, very vague at this point. It seems that they are part of the Evolutionary Syndicate. But it seems that we get to a much more seriously looking scene where we actually see Saitama fully fleshed out.
Yeah, and not a cartoon.
How old are you, Genos?
I'm 19.
Well, I think Genos needs to understand of how long it'll take for this to actually go on. Because it was for Saitama, it took a certain amount of time to become this strong. So how long does Genos have?
A long time.
Well, seeing as he's a cyborg, I don't think that he wouldn't have that big of a problem.
But he senses danger. What is it, boy?
And of course, crushing through the ceiling is another strange creature who has yet to be named because before he gets to even introduce himself, gets his head cleanly knocked off.
I don't care. And then Saitama becomes a stereotypical Asian guy. You pay for ceiling.
And outside seems to be a slug man and a toad man who has a sword tucked away in his pants.
I don't know why, but I think the toad guy, I think he's supposed to be like a shout out or a parody to one of the Naruto frogs.
Well, whatever. Ninja frog. Something. More pointless enemies to kill. Literally, pointless. They both get killed by Saitama in the next two panels. And then, odd enough, Saitama gets dragged into the ground. And now, even another cyborg comes out, but this one's completely fleshed out.
And the question is, are you a cyborg too?
Yes.
Find out next time to find out. And then we get to Dragon Ball, which is
the start of the fight between Piccolo, Goku, and Raditz.
Raditz. And we all know that he's gonna lose.
Team 4 Star, watch it.
Yes, watch Team 4 Star. And then we'll get to
Blue Exorcist. This one will be done mostly by me because it's been a while since Blue Exorcist has been in the Shonen Jump Alpha. There I go again.
Shonen Jump.
Where we get a nice little appearance of Mephisto having small dolls of all the characters we've seen so far.
Mephisto!
Hey, didn't he play a role in One More Day in the Spider-Man?
Yes!
Didn't he do something?
I hate him!
Didn't he do something to Spider-Man?
Yes! I don't want to talk about it anymore. I just want him dead.
Do you need a hug?
No!
Okay, well, back to the better Mephisto then.
Oh my god, you really are crying. I'm not crying! I'm not!
Well, like I said before, back to the better Mephisto, where he starts monologuing about why humans fight for things.
And he's playing with a porno doll.
Well, he's morally explaining and using certain things like greed and lust of couple of things that humans fight for. But he categorized them into three, lust, greed, and the last one being probably the most devastating one of them all, the pursuit of knowledge. Truly one of the things that I didn't expect Mephisto to actually say. But in his own weird way, I guess it makes sense.
Which I can also say, I think it's a reference to Adam and Eve. With the fruit of knowledge of good and evil.
Well, being that he is in fact a religious figure, I wouldn't put it past them to use that kind of part in there. However, he then shows us a scene of what's going on with Yukino, giving as much information about a demon that he fought recently in the last mission, being that the demon had another agenda, and the other parts of the Order want to know exactly what's going on. And of course, we get into some interesting characters like Lewin Light, who was set up to be one of the next paladins after Fujimoto died. And of course, in his own way, asks whether or not Yukino was scared during the fight, probably due to the fact that he's an analytical master. However, then we go back to now Arthur, who is actually the new paladin, and asks nothing but the specifics on what the demon wanted in the fight.
Arthur, king of the Brits.
Well, he's got a big sword called Excalibur. That's not.
I need you.
Is that a reference?
I need you to make an example during these dark times. Good idea, my lord. Of course, it's a good idea.
And of course, as soon as Yukino leaves, they start talking about how in the world, why they have to even talk to Yukino about this, and why they have to make him go through stringent processes in order to even talk to them. Well, it's just because that Arthur wants them to recognize that Yukino is much more mild-mannered, which is pretty stupid when it comes to people like Shura and Lewin, who just simply want to get their answers without having to go through a process. However, we have yet to get to that, and now we're actually on a much more unknown note, which seems to be that Lewin has been infiltrating the Illuminati and the Vatican.
Are we? Did this just turn into angels and demons?
Well, it's not like the Vatican and Illuminati don't actually exist. They actually do exist. And in this case, the Illuminati and the Vatican are both the higher-ups. In this case, it seems that he's using a familiar to spy on them and notices that there are spies within the Illuminati and in the Vatican, and also one of the spies is inside the Japan branch, which they are a part of.
Dum dum dum.
And unfortunately, this is left up to Shura to figure out. However, we go back to Yukino going back to his room where Rin is still sleeping off his prior fights, and even
Just gives him a thumbs up.
and of course, Rin in his own way is still skeptical of whether or not Yukino is anything infatuated with Shime, who Rin has a bit of a crush on. And of course, Yukino in his way consistently teases Rin about whether or not, and gives no clear answer. However, it does seem that because Yukino is a teacher, he does help Shime with her homework, and of course because they've been long-time friends.
Teacher-student love.
Well, I'm not sure if that's the way for Yukino. Shime does have a bit of a crush on him, but for Yukino, he's really the type of person who doesn't understand of who he is. This is where that whole pursuit of knowledge thing comes from Mephisto. Because it seems that Yukino doesn't know whether or not he's actually a human or not, seeing as how he's literally the blood brother of Rin, who is the son of Satan. He wonders whether or not he's human, and consistently is at odd ends with himself, wondering of whether or not he should be a demon hunter or why he's there in the first place. Where he then goes back to flashbacks of him talking to Father Fujimoto and still getting no answers. It just seems that it's so more of an internal dispute. Even talking with Mephisto about why in the world he has been turned into a teacher all of a sudden.
And I want your marriage. What marriage? Oh, sorry, I was thinking of something else.
And of course, and with that, Mephisto always gives him strange orders of how to test Rin and the others. And it also seems that he's onto Mephisto's plan, which is still unknown to everybody else. However, I will make it clear that this is all in Yukino's head. It's all basically black outer panels to discuss what's really going on in his mind. And of course, it jars at him so much of whether or not he is a human or a demon, and at this point starts to make him appear to be that he's literally starting to lose it due to this amount of unknown theories. It seems to chip away at his mind. However, I will say this is probably the part where Shime is necessary in this role, is because she always gives this bright and nice feeling around, bringing Yukino back from all this dark, depressing thoughts in his mind, and brings him back to a nice little area of peace. However, even Mephisto knows that all of this is just a part of how life works, and fortunately for him, makes it aware that Shime may unfortunately get involved in this, and of how he still goes through the human and demon thing. However, we now transition back to Rin, who is back in class,
and he's a demon.
But they don't seem to care about that sort of demon.
Gadan?
Gadan, I believe that's his name. I think you have to say it like that. I'm not completely sure. But it's a new friendship that he gained in the previous chapter, which of course is his newest friend, and hopefully we'll see him a little bit more often. And of course, after that, they pal around a bit until we transition back to Mephisto in his little world, explaining what humans and demons are to his brother, who defied orders against him, now is impaled through dozens of spears.
How nice.
Oops. And of course, ending on the note that life continues to go on, and it's only a part of the adventure to see where it leads. Yeah, this is a character I could definitely get around, because he's just so mysterious and quite fleshed out. But unfortunately, that is it for this week's Shonen Jump review. And of course, a little bit little bit to know about the upcoming issue is that they're going to throw a huge emphasis on the fight with Toriko and, of course,
Man versus food.
And seeing on what's going to be happening after Yuma uses Osama's trigger. So both of these are going to be focused on in a great way. But fortunately for us, we still have a Fairy Tail chapter to review, and boy is
this was a great chapter.
Bringing off from, and this is Fairy Tail 322, and we are right back into battle after Juro was defeated by Luxus, and now it seems that Juvia and Gray are about to make the final blow against Sheila? Yeah, I think it's Sheila. Sheila and Leon. Sheila. And of course, being that their teamwork actually does work, they use a unison ray technique which involves both their water and ice magic, creating the water nebula and ice geyser magic. This actually looks pretty cool looking.
Yeah.
But since both Leon and Sheila...
They're blasting off again!
And of course they had to do this while holding hands. And I'll say this is also a shout out to Rave Masters, seeing as how that there was another technique that used that same way to defeat another opponent. However, due to the fact that
when we let go of my hands, never. You're scary!
And of course, being that the leader of Lamia Scale has been shocked that both Jorah and now Leon...
And she starts spinning herself.
Yep. She's just that depressed. And now, but after that, we get a nice little battle of the enraged Urza with her new armor on. And I'm not sure
I kick her ass!
I don't know what this is about, but I'm guessing that's Minerva, that somewhere along the line, Minerva's jaw or something having to do with her mouth got broken, and she seems to be talking in
a different language.
Yeah, but of course, she tries her best to do against Urza and uses all of her spatial magic into one attack.
But it does nothing to her.
Yep, that's because the magic imbued with it, space-time can't actually affect that armor. So, which means is that Minerva's ability is completely useless.
In deep shit.
This is the reward, and of course, this one line I have to quote because it's such a good quote after what Minerva has done, and this is all by Urza. You hurt too many people I care for. And as Minerva's walking away scared, Urza is once again, quote, "This is the reward."
Nice.
A nice little one-shot from her spear, knocking Minerva to the ground unconscious, with Urza looking down at her with pity. And of course, now Fairy Tail's up to 63 points, where Sabretooth has 55. Even with the roaring crowd, Minerva has been defeated. Minerva, Jura, and many of the other powerhouses have been defeated. And of course, everybody is in celebratory mode. Fairy Tail. But they forget one person. One person who has stayed out of every battle. And boy, has he has no marks on him. He has no bruises, no blood marks. He's ready to fight again. So at this point, he's at enough strength to take on all of them, and even signals to Fairy Tail, the remaining Fairy Tail members, to come and fight him. And boy, is this scene drawn out.
Oh boy, yeah, this is just an awesome scene.
Every member of Fairy Tail, Urza, Juvia, Gray,
Luxus,
and even Gajiel are all limping and full of battle scars, while Sting just stares at them, ready to take them out. And of course, him boasting his ass off as he sees that all of them are completely beaten to the pulp. And he says that there is no reason to go completely on you because he's already awakened his full power due to the fact that he killed his master. Yeah, spoiler alert on that one. And of course,
some technical difficulties.
And as soon
I
as
love this 2-page spread where you just see them standing up to Stain it,
as if they're
standing
ready
up
to
to
fight
Stain
again.
and just you're just pretty much going like shoot me.
Yeah, magnificent. It's essentially like that scene in the Magnificent Seven. You just can't kill them.
Yeah,
You just can't talk boastfully and say, "Yeah, I'm going to beat all of you." Yeah, we're standing battle scarred and at our pretty much death's door, but we're still going to fight with you with all we got.
Just test us.
And even with this amount of intimidating nature from their never give up complex, Sting literally
surrenders.
Yep, down on both
falls
knees.
on his knees and surrenders.
With that, Sabretooth has been defeated, and Fairy Tail is crowned the winner.
Now, did they win the entire games, or
yes,
or is it
won.
just for that?
Nope, that was the end game. They have won the tournament, and now they are crowned the #1 guild in Fioria.
Yay!
However, we do have a little bit of respect towards Sting. The only reason that he wanted to go all out is because Minerva did in fact send Lecter to another dimension. However, due to the fact that Melina got sent out of her dimension also with another part to her, it turns out that it was Lecter who came back with her. That Sting gets his ultimate reward of actually being a good person and actually giving up for Fairy Tail's, not for Fairy Tail's sake, but for what Fairy Tail is, and eventually is reunited with his friend Lecter. But we have Arikatos to get back to, as he's looking for the princess to find out what is really going on in the kingdom, as the tournament has now been decided, and it seems that now they're
ready
to take the Eclipse cannon out. This was supposed to be a door to the time machine. How is it a cannon now? Well, we're gonna have to find out sooner or later in the next chapter.
But just like what they've been leading up to, someone is lying throughout the whole thing, in which I'm starting to think that maybe this future Lucy is probably lying.
I'm still thinking it's a princess because we found out about the
or maybe it's both.
Yeah, maybe there are two liars. Or maybe there are actually none at all.
Dumb. Oh, wait, there he is.
Alright, well that actually wraps it up for this week of Shonen Jump Review. This has been Fonzie.
This is Hero.
And we're signing out.